To learn about the off-grid lifestyle and to be inspired to live your dreams, click subscribe so you don't miss anything. Hit the bell notification. So this is the second time I've got to make this video today. First time I tried it, the sound was non-existent. Something was wrong with the mic. Maybe I didn't get plugged in, I don't know. And it's always so difficult to make a second video. Come up with an idea, you rehearse it in your head how you wanted to lay it out and say it, and then it doesn't work and you got to do it over. And of course all the little jokes and, well, my dry sense of humor jokes are all gone, and you'll never get that back. And then whatever I wanted to show you was already completed in the last video, so either I undo everything I just did and then do it all over. So it's always a frustration. But today's video, I wanted to talk about a little bit of our history. When we got here, how messy this place was. I mean, it was a disaster area. And that was kind of the appeal to it, to be honest, because we only spent $4,200 on it. Up here where the tiny house is, right there, was an old mobile home that was falling down, and we had to, clean that up and get it all tore apart. I mean, it was just a disaster. This area you're looking at here was all grown up. I mean, it was probably to my belly. And it was all basically like this, well, much thicker to be honest. And it was all this thorny bush. Right here you'll see the thorny bushes. Right there, I don't know if you can see the thorns in that or not. You'd walk through it and it'd just scratch you all up, tear up your pants. Carolyn was actually getting an allergic reaction to it pretty badly, the itching. It wasn't poison ivy, we know that. And then later I started getting it. And on the first day, we took the camper off the truck, which was a big challenge. I mean, it's a homemade camper. It was kind of designed on the truck. And remember, the whole thing was overgrown in that thorny stuff. So we were working in that thorny stuff, getting all scratched up. I twisted my ankle. And then the second day, we installed the well pump. And then it was pretty much we needed to focus on getting this thing cleaned up. This whole area was just covered up in growth. And so many people kept saying, you need to go buy a brush hog, or you need to go buy a lawnmower, you need to do this and build and spin. I remember one of the videos around that time I made, in one video, people had suggested that I spend $10,000. If we add up all the things you guys need, everybody's saying you need this, it came up to like $10,000. It was ridiculous. And we would have went broke almost instantly. Remember, we were wanting to build a tiny house, and what we were planning on doing was spending $500 a month, build the floor, wait another month, build a wall. So what I had to do here was I took this sickle bar blade, Sling Blade. You ever seen the movie Sling Blade? It was a good movie. Billy Bob Thornton. I sling blade all of this. The whole yard was like that. I had to do it relatively quickly because copperheads were going to be coming out soon. And we had to get this knocked down before copperheads season because they would have just went right into the camper. To give you an idea of how messy this yard is, this is glass that Carolyn picks up all the time. She just picks up glass constantly, and then we go and dump it. Bucketfuls, just everywhere. So the next thing we had to do was we had to buy a lawnmower. Now again, a lot of people suggested that we needed to buy a riding lawnmower. I had a lot of reservations about doing that. So I bought a push mower. Easily replaceable. If something were to go wrong with it, I can just go and replace it. This was like $150. It was very inexpensive. But the reason I did it was because this yard is just full of huge rocks and glass and all that stuff. I was worried that I would run over one of these huge rocks or a stump. There's stumps everywhere, and tear up the riding mower, and then I'd just be out of commission. Well, sure enough, I hit stumps with this all the time. I've bent the blade, I keep bending it back. I'm gonna have to order a new blade. And then the next thing we had to do, we had to get ready for winter. Remember, firewood takes a year for it to dry out. Well, winter was a lot less than a year. By the time we started cutting firewood, I think it was in June. And of course, we needed firewood by October. So we cut a lot of deadfall. Went out, bought a chainsaw, and that's what our focus was for several months, was cutting firewood. I think we ended up getting 8 cords. So we had this whole section filled up. Now that's 4 cords there. And then over here by the camper, we had another 4 cords, just as big as the last one. Now the thing you have to remember is we carried all this either by hand, you know, from the woods, or with this. And initially I was dragging up 3 or 4 of these a day. Just loading it up, bringing it up. I was like a mule, just trying to pull my way through it. And I got pretty healthy. I was doing pretty good. And then later, as I thought we had enough firewood, I would just go down in the woods and I'd collect a wagon full, pull it up 1 wagon a day. And this is what we've gotten from it. Now this is a really nice wagon. It, you know, it carries 900 pounds. A lot of people in my comment section says they have the same wagon. I've beat it up really good. I've tore up the bottom. I need to redo this. I'm gonna fix this up so it's stronger. But the wheels and the frame can carry 900 pounds, which is a lot better than a riding lawnmower wagon. They only carry about 100 pounds. So this was a really good purchase. And I think this only cost $100 from, I think, Lowe's. I've been talking a lot about infrastructure. Like I said earlier, we were focused on getting the house built. So we really needed to conserve our money. And then we wanted to get the well, and get some chickens. And now that we have all this done, the well's not done, but I got everything purchased. I'm just waiting for the well packer to show up. Now I start looking at infrastructure. How can I make the job easier? Now I know a lot of people think that when you live off grid, you're totally off grid. I'm gonna do it all myself. Well, in my mind, that's just not feasible. There's just not enough hours in a day. If you decide, okay, I'm not gonna use propane, I'm not gonna use gasoline, I'm not gonna use electric, other than solar panels, then you gotta do it all by hand. And you'll just never get anything accomplished. This year, we've decided that maybe we should start thinking about buying a lawnmower. Now, a lawnmower is gonna do us a world of good. Like I said, that wagon, instead of me having to pull that up, I could hook it up to the back of the lawnmower. I can take my chicken coop I've put on wheels, and I got a little trailer tongue here. I could hook that up to a lawnmower. When I cut the grass, it's a good 4 or 5 hour process. I mean, I got this big ditch I got to cut, and this hill is just a monster. And when I first started out, I was only cutting maybe 15 minutes at a time, and then I'd take a break and cut another 15 minutes at a time. But by the end of the summer, I was doing the whole thing in one go. I'd run out of gas right before I finished, so it was just a little bit more than a tank of gas, and I finished it up. So we've been looking at used lawnmowers. And the more we thought about it, the more we thought, you know, that just may not be a good idea. I bought a used lawnmower about 5 years ago, maybe longer than that now. And it was in really good shape. It was nice looking, it ran good. I don't even think it made the entire summer, and the engine blew up, so I had to buy a new engine. So by the time it was all said and done, I spent as much money on that used lawnmower as I would have on a Walmart style lawnmower. Now I have bought a lawnmower at Walmart in the past. It was a Murray, and it had a Tecumseh engine. I used to not like Tecumseh engines, but this one it lasted for 10 years and it was still going when I got rid of it. Carolyn and I decided that we'd go ahead and buy a lawnmower. The thing is before I show you the lawnmower, I know there are going to be people that are going to just tell me how terrible of a buyer I am. You bought a piece of junk. And then others are going to say, oh, I really like that. I've looked at these lawnmowers for a very long time. In the beginning, I really wanted one, but there's a lot of reasons why I've never gotten one. So I went ahead and got the John Deere from Home Depot. One of the things that I was really concerned about with the John Deere is it used to have a plastic hydrostatic transmission. Well, they've made that into some sort of cast metal, probably zinc or aluminum. Probably zinc because it's got that zinc feel, and the reviews on these new transmissions are just outstanding. The other thing that's nice about this lawnmower is it has an oil pump. And I think that's where I went wrong with my used lawnmower, is it had that splash system where, you know, the oil is just splashed up by the piston. But this one has the oil filter with the oil pump. So I'll be able to come up these hills and I'll still have oil being pumped through the engine. It won't lock up. Cast iron frame on the front axle, so that's good and sturdy. Now the other thing that's a little disheartening about John Deere is you have to buy their components like the oil filter and stuff. I've already went on Amazon. They're not terribly bad, but you can just order them on Amazon, so that's not so bad. The hydrostatic drive, I would have preferred to get a gear drive. I've never really been a fan of hydrostatic drive. They heat up, they're just always a problem with them. They don't produce as much power and all that. But I got to thinking about it, and you know, you're not going to be able to find them anymore. I would have had to buy used in order to find a gear drive. This thing can tow 350 pounds, it says, with a hydrostatic drive. And I figured, you know, that's not too bad. I could do 350 pounds. I use my lawnmowers. With that Murray, I had a snowplow on it, and I used it every winter. But I'll be able to take the mower deck off. I'll be able to go down in the woods, collect firewood, pull it up with that little wagon. We're really excited. This is going to add to our lifestyles. So I'm going to have to say goodbye to the old manual way of doing things, pulling wood up through the woods. So I hope I can inspire you to build your infrastructure, to live your dream. Thanks for watching.